My name's Aidan Corcoran. I'm a local historian here in Dublin. And Ireland has a rich history of using objects and visiting sites to get blessings or to cure an illness. And one of the things that exists in Ireland are holy wells. So these wells would have gone back way before Christianity was in Ireland, and they would have been part of the pagan native belief system. So the idea that we have a lot of elemental aspects to our mythology. So elementals are powerful nature spirits that are attached to a land. Or one of the rivers in County Meath, which is seen as kind of the birthplace of a lot of Irish mythology, is called Boann. And Boann is both a river and a goddess. So in Irish mythology, nature is seen as being personified and has special qualities. So there is a holy well in County Kildare. It's called St. Bridget's Well, and that would have referred to Bridget, the pagan goddess, pre-Christianity. And people would take their children there, their family members there, to cure a wart, for example. That was a very common one in Irish culture. We still do that today. We also have stones and other topological features. So the Blarney Stone is a famous one. So if you kiss a Blarney Stone, you get the gift of the gab, which is a gift of conversation, big thing in Irish culture. Ireland has a rich culture with healing and folk practices and folk magic, and it's just such a part of our culture here. It didn't seem to clash with Catholicism that would have seen a lot of that as heresy, so people would have practiced both alongside each other, and it somehow worked. A lot of belief in healers here, spiritual healers. So if you've heard of the seventh son of the seventh son, it's a very Irish thing. My grandfather was one and he was a healer. It's very important in Irish culture, and passing down herbal cures and remedies. It's still quite common practice in Ireland to attend a faith healer, a spiritual healer. One of the traditions that runs in my family is called blood stopping. So it's essentially the ability to perform a ritual to stop bleeding or hemorrhaging. And we have a lot of personal stories of our family helping people who've been in hospital and on their deathbed hemorrhaging, and they've been able to apparently stop the blood. But even today, it's quite common to attend a healer. So there could be healers for a very specific ability, or there could be general faith healers. With the blood stopping, usually somebody would reach out to them, or they'd come across, there's a story of my great-grandparents or great-great-grandmother coming across a horse and carriage accident on the road, and the person was dying. And they would perform a ritual, a sort of a prayer. And I have the prayer myself, it's passed down through the generations. So they would say this prayer and perform a specific ritual around that. And that's really what would happen. And we never had witchcraft trials here like a lot of countries did. And part of the reason is that it's just so imbued in Irish culture to practice these folk practices that it was never seen as conflicting with Christian values, as opposed to in Scotland, for example, which has a very similar culture. So we had one or two witch trials, but in general, we just didn't persecute people for those types of things. They were very revered and respected, even today. So there's a few famous cases of Irish witches, one being in the city of Kilkenny, which is also a Viking-founded city. And the story goes that a lady had multiple husbands. They died mysteriously. People started getting suspicious. So they accused her of witchcraft, but she somehow managed to shift the blame onto her maid. So this woman's name was Alice Kittler, and her maid was called Petronella de Clare, I believe. So Petronella ended up being executed mistakenly for being a witch, and Alice fled the city. So that's one of the famous, there's another famous one, Bridget Cleary, but I think that's pretty much it in terms of witchcraft. Generally speaking, probably similar to other countries, women would have been accused of being witches for whatever reason. I think with the case of Bridget Cleary, it was her husband wanted to divorce her, accused her of being a witch, and she was executed. But apart from that, witchcraft is very much part of Irish culture. So holy wells are thought to get their power from either a figure, a deity, a god or goddess in Irish mythology. I'd spoken about Boann. So Boann is part of the River Boyne that circles around the hill of Tara and the various settlements in County Meath. But it comes from a goddess, Boann. So Boann would be an elemental, but it would be a physical attribute. So in Ireland, many of those topological features, such as water, rivers, water features, trees, other topological features were considered to have magical or healing abilities. So generally, for example, healing warts is a common one in Ireland to go to the Holy Well. You go to the well, you splash the water on the affected area, or you can take some of the water away and have some in your home and use it, which is common for warts. Sometimes a saint, which maybe previously wasn't associated with Christianity, they become a saint then in the eyes of the church. They're often associated with certain areas. So St. Bridget is associated with that area in Kildare. So you would tend to have even schools and churches, and for confirmation in the Catholic Church, people tended to take the name of the local saint. So generally in that area, you would have things attributed to that saint. So the Holy Well would be St. Bridget's Well, and the local church would be St. Bridget's Church. That's generally how it works here. The gods and goddesses, or many of them, form a group called the Tuatha Dé Danann, and they were the original race of entities that came to Ireland. So they were semi-divine, and they would have been considered gods and goddesses. So a lot of our main figures are from that tribe, but when Christianity hit Ireland, they got demoted in a way, and they became the fair folk, fairies. So we call them the Dine Uaisle, which are the noble people. So really our fairies are seen as almost like fallen deities. So perhaps that's why they have so many special abilities. A lot of Christian practices would have taken popular pagan practices and kind of adapted them to Christianity to make it more digestible to the average person for conversion. So they would have taken gods and goddesses and made them saints instead. And a lot of our main saints probably would have come from those types of origins, but sometimes it was a way of the Catholic Church of demoting some of these figures as well. So obviously there's nobody higher than God in the Catholic Church, so you can't have multiple gods and goddesses. So it went from polytheistic to monotheistic. So they found ways to adapt these figures and incorporate these figures in a way that kept the population happy.
So, fairies, what are they? This ain't Tinkerbell.
No, they're not the Disney depiction. They're actually much scarier. In Ireland, they're very much feared and respected even today. So we had a tribe, allegedly, that came to Ireland, and it was documented in what's called the Book of Invasions, which are multiple books and manuscripts written in the 5th century, I believe. And it documents the migrations into Ireland. And one of those migrations was the Tuatha Dé Danann, which were a mythical, semi-divine race believed to come from the tribe of Danu. And they would have been our gods and goddesses originally, but around the dawn of the Christian spread into Ireland, they would have been demoted to fairies. But we would have had a lot of other fairy creatures like elementals, like Boann that I mentioned, or the Banshee that you might be familiar with. She's actually a type of fairy, a very scary fairy. And she is a name for fairy in the Irish language. Shiada is the plural, meaning fae. So with the Banshee, she was kind of an omen of death, something I was really scared of when I was a child. The idea is that if you hear the Banshee crying, somebody in your family is due to die. So it's pretty scary. But she would attend funerals. You know, a real woman would attend funerals, and they would hire this woman to wail and cry and stir up the crowd. So there is an association with the Banshee with those practices as well. So the idea would be you never want to meet a Banshee, because obviously she could do some pretty bad things. But there's a depiction of the Banshee, and she would have long, dark hair, not like me. And she would sit combing her hair with almost like a mythical comb. And sometimes it was seen that she would leave the comb as a trap, and that you never touched her comb because, you know, you'll face some pretty severe consequences, or she may find some way of kind of grabbing you into the other world.
People to this day are like very cautious about disturbing fairy, trees and bushes. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so you don't mess with the fairies in Ireland. So even calling them fairies is seen as disrespectful. We call them the good neighbours. And as I mentioned, that the other world where the fairies reside is not really other. They exist as a neighbour on this plane. But we do have certain formations like the hawthorn tree is associated with the fae in Ireland, and fairy forts, which are usually a round formation of flowers or some kind of plants that look quite out of place. They're quite kind of spherical. And the idea is that you never disturb one. My house was apparently built on a fairy fort, so not good luck. But The idea is that you don't upset them. So if you are living in an area that there are Fae settlements in, that you leave out gifts for them. You may leave out certain things like butter, cream back in the day, or iron, that if you want to ward away the fairies. Apparently they don't like iron. There's also stories in Irish mythology about changelings. So the Fae could pass into this world and use a glamour, which was like a type of mask to appear as human. And there's lots of stories. There's a document, an online archive of stories of people who've met the Fae and seen the Fae, but sometimes they appear as human and then they drop their glamour. But they would sometimes take human children or human babies and replace them with a changeling. And usually the family would notice that their baby had suddenly become ill, or they were maybe very sickly. And that could be a clue that the Fae have taken your child into the other world and they've left a fairy child. About maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we had a large highway or motorway being built in Ireland. And there was a big discussion about the fact that it would have been running through a fairy fort. And rather than risk the wrath of the fairies, it was actually completely diverted, which would have cost a lot of money at the time. Obviously, in more ancient times, they could put a curse on your family as well, or leave a changeling.
And would you say a lot of people to this day believe in those things?
I would say there's a kind of a passive belief that people don't want to tempt fate. So they may not actively practice these things, but there's still a reverence for it in Ireland where people don't want to find out or F around and find out. So yeah, I would say there's definitely a respect for that in Irish culture to this day. The Disney version of fairies is very much not what exists. I think that's quite common in Irish mythology. There's a lot of dark, revengeful types of stories and figures. And, you know, the idea that you respect that area of life, you respect those entities, and you don't get anything for free. To call on a figure in Irish mythology, you have to be very desperate and expect that you're going to have to give something back in return. You could give an offering. So depending on the entity, if you had a goddess or a fairy, fairies apparently like certain things, certain types of food, for example, or it could be a deed that you do, a deed in their favor. It really depends on the god or goddess. You know, the Morrigan would have been a goddess of war, so you may call on her if you need support in that area, but she may ask you to do something or ask something of you that you may not want to do.
Is there any other piece of Irish folklore that you think is really interesting, like a specific spirit or energy before we wrap?
There is a Headless Horseman. Talk about the Dullahan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many, I'm trying to think. We do have a figure in Irish history called the Dullahan, and he's considered Headless Horseman, as the type that you would see in other mythology. So he would carry his head around. We do have hounds, like hounds of hell, that can accompany him as well. So it's almost like a headless hunt. And where I'm from, down in Carlow, there's a very small graveyard near where I live, and there are stories that a headless hunt or a procession would take place leading up into the graveyard of some of those figures, accompanying, almost like a memory or an imprint of the past, accompanying souls into the cemetery.
And these Headless Horsemen are looking for souls?
Yeah, they're looking for souls. So it's a lot of Irish stories would have been told to kids and teenagers, particularly my parents' generation, to scare them away from sneaking out at night. So you don't want to meet these figures. So there were haunted hills, there were Headless Horsemen, there were banshees, but it was believed in, but definitely feared and respected, and that was passed down to the next generation.
That's a good way to scare children.
Yeah.
Don't
go over to the haunted hill or the Headless Horseman's gonna get
eat
your
your
ass.
soul.
Where I grew up, there's a haunted hill. When I was a kid, I asked my mum, where did the name come from? And she was saying, well, when we were kids, our parents just said it was a haunted hill. It may not have been haunted, but we never went out at night on that hill, so it did its thing.
Well, awesome.
The curse is real.
Let the mummification ritual begin.
This Friday. Can you escape?
Don't worry, it's fun to be dead.
Lee Cronin's The Mummy, rated R.
Ireland is a country steeped in mysticism and mystery, stemming all the way back to the times of the Druids and the Celts and the Druidic practices and the rituals and stone circles and human sacrifices and bloodletting. It's so interesting. When you're traveling through Ireland, you really feel like you're almost in a different world, and it really is so mystical. It's so beautiful, it's breathtaking, but at the same time, there is an energy that permeates the landscape. Now, it's a lot of good energy. We've spoken with some of the bad energies in this series. Recently, I've been deep diving into the occult and esotericism, and even just different sides of Christianity and Christian miracles and the more supernatural side of religion. So when I started reading about the holy wells in Ireland, I knew that we had to visit a few of them. A holy well is essentially a well, a spring, that holds a religious and spiritual significance in the minds of the Irish. Oftentimes, most times, these wells or springs were ancient Druid or pagan worship sites. So they would come to these springs and they held them in reverence. But later, when Christianity was brought to Ireland, a lot of these wells were turned into, sort of pseudo-Christian holy wells, where they then were attached to the stories of canonized saints like St. Patrick. The wells themselves are supposed to free flow with blessed water that can cure ailments, heal diseases, even heal warts on your hands. As you can see, there are so many interesting beliefs in Ireland. I mean, Headless Horseman ghosts, that is so crazy and so cool to me. But throughout our week that we spent in Ireland, I myself felt personally driven to visit these wells. There was something within me that was calling me to visit these wells. I don't know why. It's one of those things that I can't explain, but it was something that deeply fascinated me that I just felt, driven to explore. And so we set off investigating a few of these wells to see if there was any EMF energy in the environment. And the first one that we visited was actually the St. Patrick's Well. Just take a look, it's so beautiful. So right now we are in rural Meath County, Ireland, down a back road. Right next to us is the Hill of Tara, a very important megalithic site with burials dating back thousands of years, a site that held a lot of importance not only to the pagans and to those who practiced those more earth-based religions back in the day, but also to the country of Ireland. It was right on top of this hill, the Hill of Tara, where the Irish kings were crowned on a very famous stone that sits atop of the hill. So it's got a very important spot in Irish history. But right here at the bottom of the Hill of Tara is one of the many, over 3,000 holy wells here in Ireland. We saw the sign right here. You can see that old dilapidated looking sign, which I think is really cool. This is actually the Well of the White Cow, the Dark Eye Well. It has a lot of different names. It's now known as St. Patrick's Well, but we're gonna head up and check it out. Test it to see if there's some EMF readings.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Right here, baby.
Oh, there it is.
The water's so clear.
Yeah, you can drink.
Look at this. This is one of the 6 wells of Tara listed in the ancient documents. It has borne many names. The Capric of Cormac is eastward from the Wrath of the Kings. Dark Eye, the Healer, the Well of the White Cow. 3 names to designate it, to make it known as the Well of Tara.
You can see all the candles. Looks like people are
There's a
doing
little bear down.
Oh yeah. There's a bear?
Yeah, right here.
There's more stuff over here on top of the well.
How cool is this? And beautiful.
some flowers.
Wow. I wonder what happened.
It's like a beanie. Look at burnt stuff. Burnt wood, offerings.
There's a statue on the bottom down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, through over there.
So the thing is with these wells is that they're all supposed to be holy, like the name kind of describes, but it's said that the water that flows from these wells was either blessed or obviously with wells like this one, it held a great significance to the pagans. So if you touch the water and say a prayer, it's supposed to bring you, whether it's a wish or healing of some sort. And in this video, we're going to be paranormally testing these wells to see if any of our devices can pick up any energy or anything, any anomalies in the EMF or forces around the wells. You guys see anything on your devices?
I keep getting a couple little spikes on mine. Let me dig down close to the water. That's super cool. And touch the water. Oh. Whoa.
That is Bridget's cross. Saint Bridget, she's an Irish canonized saint. And it actually stems from a pagan goddess. I think it was Bridget or Brigitte. It was something like that that the Christians incorporated into Christianity. But that's her specific Irish Celtic influenced cross. Well, you want to say a prayer, touch the water, see what it does?
Yes, indeed.
I still meet you doing it. Well, this is just our very first stop, but we had no idea this was here. There's over 3,000 of these holy wells in Ireland alone. And it's just an Irish thing, really. So I'm actually going to be filling a bottle full of water from these wells and bringing it home with me for good luck and hopefully somewhat of a connection to the divine. Bottle 1 collected. So right nearby St. Patrick's Well is actually another very interesting paranormal, pseudo-paranormal, spiritual thing. And that is a fairy tree. That St. Patrick's Well is right next to the Hill of Tara, a very famous hill. It goes back to ancient times. There are tombs in that hill. It's believed that this hill was used to communicate with deities or spirits. It's also where the old kings of Ireland were crowned on a certain stone on top of this hill. So it's a very famous hill, but off to the side, like we talked about with AD and the expert, there's a fairy tree. Typically in Irish folklore and in nature, if there are two hawthorn trees next to each other, it's a very specific type of tree. In Ireland, they form a portal to another realm. And they also, in that process, become fairy trees because it's believed that the fairies or the fae come in and out of the portal there and travel around there and live around there. And so it's customary for people to visit the tree, to make a wish, to leave an offering, and yeah, to tap into that energy. So we decided to go give it a shot.
Come on, buddy. Good boy.
Wow.
Hello. Do we have any food for you? Yeah, sorry, Bob.
So right now we are visiting one of the most sacred places in Ireland, one of the most mysterious places as well, the Hill of Tara here in Meath County. You see his clover in his hands? And on his hat? Look at 4-leaf clover on his hat. So that statue right there is actually of St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. He's got an association with this hill. I can't remember what it was. I think he conducted some sort of sermon or had some sort of religious event here on the Hill of Tara. This is an area that has megalithic graves, so graves that are thousands of years old. This area held a deep significance to the pagans and the spiritual peoples in Ireland. And crazily enough, right up there, I believe that's the stone. I think it's called the Stone of Destiny. I'd have to look it up, but it's the actual stone where the kings of Ireland were crowned. So if you can imagine back in the day when they had these coronations, it would be just massive affairs. But what we're here to see is actually over in this direction, and it has to do with fairies. Right now, we are standing in the area of the fairy trees here on Tara Hill. These are some of the most famous fairy trees in all of Ireland, and
I'll put some photos on screen now. You can see during the summer months and spring, when people come to leave offerings on these trees, they become absolutely filled. Every single branch and twig covered in ribbon and string and full of offerings to the fairies. Now, fairies, interestingly enough, when the people first settled in Ireland, they claimed that they encountered this species of spirits. This is what the legend states. And when these settlers first settled the island, they banished these spirits. Some of these entities, though, which are known now as fairies or even leprechauns, they went underground, they moved into trees, they went through portals, but they still remained here on Ireland. And that's where this legend comes from. These are basically spirits or entities that used to call this whole land home, and they were banished when humans came in. It's said in Irish folklore that when you have two hawthorn trees, you can see these are hawthorn trees based on these berries. These two hawthorn trees form a portal to another world. So right where I'm standing in Irish folklore, this is a portal to another realm where spirits enter and exit. And it's said that when you visit a fairy tree like this, because this is where these fairies or these energies make their homes, you're supposed to leave an offering. So we've brought an offering today, but you're also not supposed to curse it. You're not supposed to damage it. You're not supposed to remove anything from the tree, because fairies, they're not always like Tinkerbell. They can cause mischief, they can cause mayhem, they can cause curses, and they can, according to legend, even kill people. I was reading stories about people who destroyed fairy trees or messed with them who died shortly afterwards. It's a common thing here in Ireland that there's tons of stories about. But yeah, this is just so cool to be standing. This is the land of fairies and enchantment and magic. And this is an actual fairy hideout. And just look at, man. If you want to come in here and zoom in on all these little things, look at, there's so many offerings. There's string here. There's this tied in right here. Clean and serene for 30 days. 30 days sober.
Yeah.
Coins actually that were shoved into the tree that appear to have grown into the tree. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that? Like, these are actually grown into the tree now. They're wedged in there.
Look at these ones up here.
Oh, wow. Those are literally coins growing into the tree. Are you leaving a little offering?
I'm leaving an offering, and I'm leaving like a little healing stone for a lady that had open heart surgery.
Really?
Yeah. So I just leave the offering as well, like just to kind of in advance say thank you, if that makes sense, and just hopefully nobody touches this. I believe in all this.
Really?
Yes, 100%.
You believe in
History. Like, it's history, it's here.
I mean,
It's on all historical grounds.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, because we have a pretty large paranormal channel in America.
Okay.
So we're here, like, we all believe in the energies, and that's why it's so cool, because we don't have this in America.
We're the family that just has the energies around us all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
And you really think that, like, leaving something on this tree would...
Yeah, and I also think with the way everything's gone in the world today, you just need to have a little bit of grounding and faith as well.
Especially when you live in America right now.
This is bad over here, trust me.
Oh, God, you can't escape.
The crime is just everywhere. And everyone just needs to just...
Wow.
Well, enjoy. I hope we made a good impression.
You did. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one. Crazily enough, we were actually here, and we just spoke to a woman who is a local to the area who was actually coming out here to leave a tribute and offering in hopes for, what was it, blessing for a heart surgery?
Yeah.
Open heart surgery?
Open heart surgery.
So she actually came all the way out here, to give good energy for that heart surgery. I mean, that's exactly what I love about this stuff. That was so cool. And she even said it, I believe in everything.
Well, it's funny too, is like looking around, like nobody's really coming over to this tree.
No.
And of course, right when we're here,
Someone comes and tells us it's real. Wow, that was so cool.
it's powerful.
Yeah, I was telling them on the way up here too. I love the dark stuff. I love demons and the evil, because it gives you more powerful paranormal activity and creepier stories, and I love creepy stuff. But I also really love these really positive, energetic places, because you walk away from them feeling like really good. And it's so interesting. That was just so cool.
Around more people that had their attitude.
Yeah.
Like, that truly believe, in these folklore, but it's really real to them.
You have to look at it in the sense of like you have Christianity and you have all these other faiths, and the way that people believe in those are the same way that people believe in a lot of this stuff. I mean, through ancient times, religion was connecting with the earth and whatever energies were around with them. So leaving offerings like this, I mean, that dates back to the beginning of times. I mean, this is like the intense stuff that you can feel. It's cool to see that these are like you have all these other groupings of trees everywhere, and then just 2 hawthorn trees in the middle of this field.
These are, this is the portal to another world.
I wonder how old they are. I don't know.
Even just look at how old some of these ribbons are. Like, this has probably been on here for months, years. And then down here, you've got, like, look at all these offerings. Painted rocks, coins. There's a note back there. But all of these are offerings too. Like, they're all tied on here. There's like hundreds, thousands on this tree.
Oh, wow.
But just man, cool. Well, that looks like something a leprechaun would have. That's a gateway to his door.
Jeff, what are you smoking?
Oh, someone left a turd for the fairies.
They gotta be cursed now.
Poor dog.
And lastly, what I'll say that's so cool is you think about, it's just a tree, right? I mean, it could be a portal, it could be fairies everywhere, but you think about all these, every single ribbon is a story and a wish
And intentions.
and intention and energy, and so many people that might be sad, that are hoping for something better, desperate people, happy people. There's just so much energy right here.
Lost.
Obviously,
Obviously loved ones, and they're sick themselves and all kinds of things.
it's really powerful stuff.
It is.
Wow.
Well, you guys want to tie one on?
Yep.
Do it one at a time. To any fairy or fae or any energies associated with these trees, I'm leaving lots of love and light and happiness, and I believe in you. And you don't have to make my wish come true or do anything big for me, but would be nice. Thank you guys for allowing us to visit. Thank you.
This is just amazing being here and just getting all the positive energy and putting my wish on the tree.
My intentions are for something worldwide, my wish. And I hope you fairies can help make it come true for everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
All right, guys. So we also brought these flowers for them. To the old gods, the new gods, to God, to the fairies, the fae, the leprechauns, to any energies out here. Thanks for letting us visit, and I don't know what more I can say. We appreciate you for who you are. Who can say they went to a fairy tree and wish to the fairies for good blessings?
This is very cool.
So cool.
Makes me want to have a couple hawthorn trees back home now.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
It would be really cool.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, next stop.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That same day, also nearby, we visited another really interesting place in Ireland, which I was very excited to visit. It's another hill nearby. This location is where Halloween began. It's where the ancient pagan practice of Samhain, or as it's spelled kind of in English, Samhain, began hundreds, thousands of years ago. So This hill, about 25 minutes from our Airbnb, is actually the known birthplace of Halloween. And while we were there, we went just a week or so after Halloween, we found something really cool.
So right now, unfortunately, this is closed. I think obviously we got here a little too late in the day, but behind me is Chalatka, or the Hill of Ward. And crazily enough, this location is actually the birthplace of Halloween. This is where so many hundreds, thousands of years ago, Halloween or Samhain celebrations began. In modern day, there's a massive Halloween celebration that occurs here on this land at that time of the year. People start around this area, they light fires, and they have a big torchlit procession to the top of the hill where they then light larger fires and celebrate Samhain, the day where the veil between the two worlds is the thinnest. Technically the start of the old New Year. They used to believe that the New Year began on Samhain, or as a lot of people would believe it said Samhain. So this is the location where the Druids, the Celts, all those individuals, the pagans, would come out around October 31st, that time of the year, and celebrate an old school Day of the Dead, the birth of a new year, of a new life, the death of old lives. They would celebrate this death. They would celebrate with fire and costumes and rituals, all here on this land. So every Halloween celebration you see around the world, all of that comes from the procedural that was carried out right here on this piece of land hundreds, thousands of years ago. Yeah, it's closed, and I'm so angry that we can't go in because I love Halloween so much, and this is where Halloween comes from. But yeah, cool nonetheless to say that we've actually seen this area. We've stood technically on the ground of the Hill of Ward. This is the hill, so I'm going to count it as being here.
There's a slight incline.
There's an incline right here. But super cool. To this day, every year Halloween, Samhain, they come and they do that old school festival. They have a huge effigy. They tell stories, they chant, they dance, they worship the old gods and the earth. And it's so cool. Right out in the middle of nowhere, rural Ireland is literally the birthplace of Halloween, Halloween Hill. The more you know. I had no idea until today when I looked up cool things near our Airbnb. It's like, oh yeah, the place where Halloween started. I'm like, yeah, we gotta go see that. Duh. But now all it looks like on camera is a stupid gate. Yeah, maybe we could see through it. Happy late Halloween.
Now what if it just accidentally opened? Not accidentally.
All right. Hey, look, turnips though.
Where?
Right here.
Oh my gosh!
Giant turnips because, you know, back in the day they didn't carve pumpkins. They carved these gigantic turnips. Oh, look, here's a carved one right here. That's so cool. So yeah, they actually started carving these things, these turnips, instead of pumpkins. And you can see right here at the entrance, someone has left a carved one. And look, right here on this sign, Hill of Ward. Oh, here's the name of the fort too. Tlachta, that's the name of the fort that was on the hill. And they make giant effigies of Tlachta and bring the effigy up during the Halloween celebrations. And I think obviously these are pagan Celtic symbols. I just don't know what they are. The birthplace of Halloween.
It's so cool. And you know what? Even if we can't really get on the field, it's going to be a field. This is like the entrance. This is cool.
Hundreds of years ago, maybe even thousands of years ago, people were walking in this area that we are in right now, just to get up on that hill.
So cool. The birthplace of Halloween.
The birthplace of Halloween right here, baby.
The next stop on our journey was to the Coole Holy Well, which has an interesting backstory of its own. And there's a specific way that you're supposed to make the rounds and pray and worship while you visit this well. In doing a video like this, I'm trying to give it my best shot. I'm not someone who's ever really been one to pray or to do anything like that, but I wanted to dive into these topics and really treat them with respect and come to them with an open mind, an open heart, and an actual desire to learn and experience something. So, I don't know, that's why I felt like all this stuff was so cool.
So right now we're in the small town of Coole, Ireland. There's some history. And right here, the Holy Well. This is actually like a druidic pagan ritual that you can do at this holy well. You can make an offering, drink the water 3 times, Hang a piece of cloth that's been in contact with your body on the tree. Pick up 9 small stones, perform the rounds, walk clockwise. Like, that's crazy. We didn't... That's really cool. But yeah, this is about this well right here. We are here near Coole town, and right to the right is the entrance to the holy well. Look at how cool this is. You step through here, and there it is. So interestingly, we're here in Coole, Ireland, at a very small holy well. Now, this well is the Coole well, and it's a very interesting one. According to the story, a local woman at one point saw a monk praying over this spring. She felt it possessed some sort of holy power, and she ordered this little structure to be built over the flowing stream. According to the locals, the water from this well can cure eye sores and warts, amongst other medical conditions and ailments. This is just another place of reverence in the Irish countryside. It's really out in the middle of nowhere. It's a beautiful area. There's a certain day of the year every year where they come out and hold a mass here. So they have a priest come out and they all pray and everything. In order for whatever you're hoping for to come true, according to the story, you have to pray at each of these. There are 7 kneeling stones here. Do I need to kneel on it?
There's a kneeling stone.
Oh. Ow! There's another rock on the kneeling stone. Ugh. The final stone. All right, well, that was interesting. Yeah, isn't it penance? Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of hurts when you pray like this. Let's see, do I got any kneeling wounds? Definitely isn't like comfortable, I wouldn't say.
All right, go dip your hands in the water.
All right. And look, you can see here's just some stuff people have left here. Crucifixes, offerings, little prayer cards. I don't know if we got this on camera for this video, but when we first went to the first well, we filled a bottle of water up like this. Then the next morning, all the bottles in the car were empty or thrown away. So we think someone drank that well water. Probably me, when I really think about it.
It was right,
because it was on my driver's side. But nothing happened.
I think it's kind of interesting how it was just like a monk praying at the stream, and it was actually just a citizen that was just walking, saw the monk praying here, and then was like, this is holy now. Makes you think, though, like, where'd they come up with the, like, 7 kneeling stones? Like, what does that stand for?
Right. I would like
why
to dig
why
into
did they
that.
choose, like, oh, this one's good for warts?
Right.
It's interesting.
Well, each of these wells has miracles associated with it.
Maybe someone rubbed some water on their finger and the wart went away.
The next well that we stopped at has a very, very interesting history, which we're going to talk about in a second. This one was a little bit harder to find. It was kind of like off in the woods. It was already late at night. And to be honest, it was kind of creepy up there. I mean, it's beautiful, but just the dark Irish woods at night are always going to be a little spooky. So yeah, just check this out.
Oh, look, you can see it. Here it is.
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Look at this. Look at all the flowing.
Ooh. Gold.
Wow. So cool. We're now in Cork, Ireland, in the Cork area, visiting another famous holy well. This time it is St. John's Holy Well. And This is a very famous local place, and a place that is saturated with spiritual energy, reverence, and sacredness. Every year, they actually lead a mass service here, so priests and local congregants and parishioners make a pilgrimage out to this location. I think we came from the back way, and they really come from up these stairs. It is a common belief here that this well was discovered by a blind old man, a resident in nearby Balea, who had a very strange dream in which he was ordered by a voice to make a journey, in what direction is not stated, and stop where he heard water trickling. The following day he set out, and locating the water, stopped and dug with his fingers until water sprang up, bathing his eyes in the clear water, and his sight was instantly restored. Having related his story to the parish priest, he proceeded to enclose the well. So he built a stone wall around it in a beehive shape, and within the well he built a stone seat on which the pilgrims sit to rest and pray. Invalids and other people usually visit the well from the eve of St. John's Day, June 24th, until its octave to make the necessary rounds. The rounds performed consists of a decade of the rosary and making the sign of the cross on the crosses engraved in the wall outside as they travel around the well. The relics usually left are medals, pictures, statues, scapulars, beads, and other holy objects. My parents, this is a guy telling the story, my parents never saw any crutches left there, but it is said crutches were to be seen in their years gone by. An ash tree grows at the back. So, according to the story, this local man who was blind came out here, was told to dig here in a dream. He discovered this well, this stream. The water splashed his face and his vision was restored. Afterwards, it was declared a holy well, and people from all over the world come to this well to try heal their ailments. So this one seems to be eyesight based. So I'm not Catholic. I'm technically not even Christian. I'm just non-religious, really, spiritual, agnostic. But I'm here to try all of this stuff. So I don't know the rosary. I don't feel comfortable praying the rosary like they say you should, but I will make the sign of the cross. You can feel how many people have done this here. It's kind of crazy. You should feel this, dude.
Oh yeah, that's freaky.
Isn't that crazy?
So interesting.
Right?
Ooh, nice and muddy. Jeez. I think this is the stone that they're talking about, the pilgrims sit at.
So interesting that this is just in a local park.
Honestly.
Say a little prayer.
And your father and your brothers.
How cool is this?
Very cool. On to the next.
Oh, what the hell? Our light just died.
No, God.
Dude. Right when we're leaving, our light dies? That's gotta be some sort of a sign, bro.
Yeah, to get the hell out of here.
The final well that we visited, in my opinion, was the most beautiful and sacred feeling of them all. And this was St. Bridget's Well, which is near the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. St. Bridget is very interesting because Bridget's cross, St. Bridget's cross, Bridget is actually a pagan goddess. So what happened when they came to Ireland, the Catholics and Christianity, was they took a number of those pagan deities or gods and incorporated them into Christianity. So with St. Bridget, you actually have a saint in the Catholic tradition who was once a pagan goddess, or known as a pagan goddess to people, which I I think is very interesting. I mean, obviously lots of Christian traditions stem from pagan traditions, like Christmas traditions, Halloween traditions. You can see there how things kind of evolved. But I've never seen something as clear as, Saint Bridget, who is a Catholic saint who used to be a pagan goddess. And Saint Bridget's well is a very famous well where people come, hopefully, to save those that they love from sickness, to ask for help from divine beings, and, to pray for the souls of those who they've lost. Yeah, the footage is going to speak for itself.
Hey, everybody.
You gonna be in the video?
No.
Come on.
She will be for 5 seconds.
Just for a little bit.
So right now where we're at is near the cliffs of Moher in Ireland at a very, very famous and very, very holy well. One of the holiest wells, one of the most significant in the entire country. This is St. Bridget's well. Now, we've talked about this in this video at this point, but St. Bridget actually is not a saint. She was never a human. Bridget was the pagan goddess that was worshipped in this area. So what did they do when Catholicism came to Ireland? They actually took the pagan goddess and converted her into a saint. So this well is where those pagan forms of worship would have taken place back in the day, but it's been converted into an extremely holy, revered site. Now people will come leave offerings. I've brought an offering today. You're gonna see a lot of photographs. Those are pictures that people leave of their loved ones in hopes that they'll heal, they'll survive a sickness or an illness that they're battling. It's a very, very holy place. And interestingly, remember earlier, we stopped by a fairy tree on the Hill of Tara, and right here you can see what appears to be a sort of fairy tree, but I don't think this is actually a fairy tree. I think these are offerings left to the goddess Bridget herself. By the way, we have Courtney, Shelby. I don't know if you remember Shelby from
she was in a video.
Years ago. Her house was haunted. And we got Connor behind the camera. Hey guys! So this is the path to the well. I like this little poem. I never got to hear you cry or sing to you a soft, sweet lullaby. I never got to hold your hand or plead with you to understand. I never got to hold you tight, then tuck you into bed at night. I never got to call your name, to bring you in out of the rain. My hopes and dreams for you are gone, but in my heart you will live on. Love, Mom. Sad.
Are you gonna tear up?
No.
You got it.
No. It is beautiful though. So this has been a place of worship for thousands of years, dating back to Druids and pagans, long before Christianity.
Yeah, why don't you take over?
Dude.
This is
You know, the funeral cards. Oh, this is so cool. Look at all these. This is like decades of stuff that people have left here. I think this is the coolest one we've been to.
When you're in a place like this, it's so powerful. I think every single one of these items or things that's been left here is a different story and a different prayer and a different energy, all coming to this small rock grotto essentially. And just look at this, dude. Think of how many years of history this is. Each one of these is a different story. Each crucifix, each cross, each photo. I've just never experienced something like this in my life. It's really overwhelmingly powerful. I brought this rosary all the way from home to leave here. I think I'm gonna place it up here. And you know, even if you don't necessarily have faith or believe in anything, you can't deny the power of a place like this. It has a spiritual tingle. So I'm gonna say a prayer. Wow. Let's get some water. Wow. You guys should touch the water. That's the holy healing thing. Put your hand down there. It's ice cold. And it's... Look, there's actually an energy in here. That's kind of, I think this is the first one that we've actually had any reading on this. What about over here? Check out, go back into that. Look at that. 6. People would come to this well hoping for healing, hoping for people to be healed, hoping for life after death, praying for those whose lives they've lost. The energy here is palpable, but we once again got a bottle of this water to bring back with us, and it truly is a special place where even after we stop rolling, I'm going to take a few minutes and reflect.
I just wanted to say to any spirits that might have followed us around from all the videos we've filmed on this trip, we hope you can find peace. We hope you're happy, and I want to say thank you for allowing us to speak to you, and we really enjoyed our time.
You actually didn't hear that?
No, I was just getting a shot of this.
It jingled like several times.
This thing? Was it this sound that you heard? Yeah. Really? Yeah, there's no breeze in here. Like, look at this. None of these are swinging.
It's like the final, like, goodbye.
When I prayed, I asked for a sign, too.
Oh, yeah.
To end this little time we've spent here at the well, we're going to tie ribbons and either pray, make a wish, whatever you want to call it, have an intention while we tie these ribbons to these trees. I don't believe these are fairy trees, but like I said, I think these are trees dedicated to the pagan goddess Bridget, who was associated with this well so many years ago. Just look at this, guys. Look at how beautiful this is.
You don't get any of this mysticism in the States, which I just love.
Such reverence and good energy. Really, it's the total opposite at a place like this of like a demon house or so many spots we go to all the time that have this negativity. A place like this is the same supercharged, but it feels so good. It's hard
what
to
a
explain.
view.
I know. And look at that. The Irish Ocean, or whatever the ocean is. the whatever.
Where's yours? There?
Yep, that's mine.
There's Colin.
Very cool.
Gorgeous. So cool. I love this. Gustav.
This marks an amazing end of the trip.
Oh, this is the end.
How beautiful.
Very.
Aww.
Glad you guys could be here.
Me too. Love y'all.
Love you.
Life. You have to go with the breeze and take life wherever you take. Let's start again.
Go again. Go.
Take it like a champ. Life. It's just like the breeze. You just have to go wherever it takes you.
Beautiful, man. So,
just a quick side note, we are at the Cliffs of Moher here in Ireland. This is actually really close to the well, and that has a significance as to why they chose that location. Not only the Druids, but the Christians when they established that well. This is one of the most visited tourist sites in all of Ireland, and it truly is beautiful. Makes you think about life, doesn't it?
Yeah, like this.
what about you guys? You thinking about life?
I am.
Anything to
beautiful.
offer?
I love Earth.
Nice. That's a good thought.
Thanks.
That has to be the most beautiful, most powerful thing that I've seen. All those pictures of people who've passed away, all those pictures of people who are sick and in need of help, the thousands of rosaries and trinkets and gifts that have been left there for St. Bridget and for the Holy Well. It's so powerful that there are no words. It's really indescribable. And just like with the paranormal, when you visit a very scary place, I always say you can really feel it in your body, your bones. At a place like St. Bridget's Well, it was the same, but with the inverse, with the extremely positive. Like, you could feel that in every part of your body and literally like in your soul, in your mind. It's just so powerful. It really has caused me to open my mind a lot more to a lot of these different concepts, and it's inspired me to want to dig more into esotericism and, religious studies. When I was in college, I was going to be a religious studies minor. That's a whole different story. This is in a very different way. I've been experiencing religion, whether it was in Italy or in Ireland, and these different belief systems for myself through my travels, and it's really been shaping and forming how I view and feel about the world. I think it's beautiful. It's one of the topics that I'm the most interested in exploring at the moment. Before we left though, there was one more thing that we had to do.
We're at one of the most infamous kind of lucky stones or places in all of Ireland. As you can see, it's very frosty. It is the morning, it's freezing, but we're in Blarney, Ireland, visiting the Blarney Castle and thus the Blarney Stone. There's so many different stones and blessed objects here in Ireland, but the Blarney Stone is probably the most famous, and in order to get the benefits of this stone, according to legend and tradition, you have to lean over and kiss it at a certain location on the stone. I believe it's to give you luck in your love and romance. I could be wrong, but we'll see. To give the gift of gab?
Yeah, to be a conversational.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. But here we are. Wait, is this actually the dungeon?
Yeah.
Is that how you get up there? City
No.
and dungeons.
Yeah, but I bet this shit's haunted.
Dungeons closed to protect endangered bats.
I didn't know they had a dungeon here.
Sweet. Oh, God.
Oh, I've been so bad.
What are you in for?
Being a
Vagrancy.
bad mother.
Vagrancy.
Voyeurism.
Oh.
Let me out, please. I promise I didn't do it. Yeah, you did.
Okay, one more time, so.
Just kidding.
Guilty.
Here is,
One's below
I think this is the murder hole maybe. This is the oubliette, like at Lep Castle. So basically they would throw people down into this pit and they would never be allowed back up. And remember I was saying it's curved like this so you can't crawl out and you just starve to death. Look at this. If your arrival was unwelcome as you stepped on a certain stone, the guard would pull a lever on the wall, the stone would turn over, and the ground would swallow you. On the floor of this embrasure is the murder hole that originally allowed the lobby area below to be covered by deadly fire in case the entrance was breached. A large stone slab was removed, which then left an opening through which an undesirable intruder could be attacked with deadly fire, boiling tar, or even a sword. Wow.
Look at his pants. Wow.
Jesus. Oh, my back cracking. God damn. Need to work out.
Connor?
Connor? Oh, you have to. Come on, do it.
No.
Do it. Dude, do it. Come on. It's for the video. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
Be brave.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
Quick.
Oh, flexible.
This is the poison garden here at Blarney Castle. It's really interesting. It says on this little plaque, the Blarney Castle Poison Garden was created with the purpose of educating visitors about the poisonous plants that can be found both in the wild and in our own gardens. So it's very interesting. All these plants could potentially be poisonous. And they have these little signs. Isn't it cool to say you've seen the Blarney Stone and kissed it?
So cool.
So I know that this wasn't your typical Paranormal Files, scary paranormal activity video, but I hope you guys were able to dive in with us and explore this topic and really kind of have that experience with us, because I walked away changed visiting these wells, just like I walked away changed in Italy after visiting all the famous, marine apparition sites and miracle locations. I have 9 bottles of holy well water over there on my cabinet, and you can really feel the power and the energy of places like that. And I understand why they feel blessed and why they are blessed and why people to this day continue to visit these sites and say their devotions and collect the water, because it's such a commonly held belief that there has to be something to it. And these stories are so interesting because at the end of the day, they are paranormal. They are beyond the realm of human understanding. When you have well water that heals wounds, when you have well water that can restore eyesight, it's unexplainable, and it's really cool. Anyways, y'all, we'll be back next week with a scary video, not necessarily a positive, happy, fun one, but yeah. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments section below. I appreciate every single one of you who has showed up every year for the last 10 years. You all are incredible, and I just can't thank you all enough for the life that I've been given because of people like you. See you guys next week, and stay spooky.